Got 10 quick tonight. We didn't have to wait very long. It's like you guys were waiting on me. It's probably because the show went so long. Dewey even edited it down. I took like 8 minutes out of the audio version. I was really able to scrub that out. It didn't help that I really was distracted. My house was being destroyed while the show was on. Welcome to the after show. It's John on the after show. I don't know why I thought that Drew would be on the after show. He's not here. It's just me. For now, anyway. He might jump on. I don't know. I never make commitments on behalf of others. Just a reminder, Mike Dutcher is going to be getting this mug at some point. Still on my dining room table, but that is coming to you at some point. Mike, let's go ahead and address the initial comments just because people are already here commenting. David says ahoy, ahoy. David always asks me, is this a call-in show? Every single show that I ever do. Captain Mike pre-liked. That counts double. Will Craig, good idea. April Schaefer, not liking until Jonathan delivers. So what do I got to do? Probably not have like a crappy Italian accent. Sorry, boy. I don't think I'm going to like from her tonight. David J. John hasn't delivered since his old job at Target. I never delivered it when I worked at Target. We didn't have deliveries back then. I am not I'm not management now. He's in management. I don't manage anything. I used to be in management. I don't now. John's no delivery boy. David, I don't know what you mean. Hello, Chase. Good to see you, old man. Felony Melanie. Thank you for that super chat, by the way. I was so delighted. Our first official super chat came from you. I'm not surprised by that. You are very, very consistent in terms of your ability to see everything that I do and be a part of it. Thank you for everything that you have done. I will find some way to make a felony Melanie emoji of some kind. I haven't logged into the YouTube since we gained that ability, but obviously some of you are aware on the network that I have created many emojis. The B emoji, I changed the G emoji so that it looked better, added various emojis of other various characters. So trying to find a way to add something similar here without being derivative or repetitive. Probably be a B, though. Amanda Gatewood, my old friend from way down south. Amanda, how you doing? Amanda, I don't know if they ever, I don't know if you get that teletype. I don't know if you ever heard about that big heist that went on down there, not far from you. We talked about that briefly. Maybe I shouldn't bring it up. Michael Hendricks, we're going to do the after show tonight too. Crap, I've said too much. I'm going to tell you guys straight up. So my water heater did implode. Water did get into my office. I don't know if things look different in here, but I had to move everything around at one point. My carpet was soaked. Like my TV that's over there in the corner, I had to pull it all out. We had dehumidifiers running in here, fans. It's got like a weird moldy smell. I'm sure the house is condemned now. And then I lost partial electricity. Like half of my circuits went out and the other half were only like half juice. Like that's when the light went off. Was like all of a sudden I lost partial power to the house. We still had power to the router. Otherwise I would have just disappeared, but just lucky on that one. So I had to wake up super early for the plumber man. And then I didn't get to sleep. And then I had another shift where I didn't get to sleep. So I'm super tired. So we'll see how far I can go. I always give you guys my best. This is the end of my week. I don't have to wake up early tomorrow or anything. But to answer your question, Michael Hendricks, you may just see me die live on the air, which has always been a goal of mine. Amanda Gatewood says, should start chanting one more song. In the chats, when Drew goes full auto like that, I wasn't kidding. When you review the YouTube analytics of a video, if people all start chatting, chanting, or chatting at once, that's very, very good. It sees that everybody's still engaged at the end of the show. It shows everyone's kind of like, they don't know what you're saying. I mean, hypothetically, they don't. But they see that you're engaged, that you're interacting, that the rate of chats goes up. That's always very good. So whenever Drew goes full auto, I'm kind of asking for the commies out there, the serious commies, just, boil, bold, whatever. Throw something in there to chant Drew on, even though it's pre-recorded. Let him know that, like, you're happy that he's insane with anger and that this thing that happened between him and a man he's never met some months ago has never slipped right even one moment away from his view, that he's still mad about it. Let him know that you're on his side, particularly since that guy was a big dick to Drew and for no reason. And something that Drew is 100% spot on about is that cops on social media can really be dicks to each other. And I am certainly sick of it. And I'm definitely a risk because, like, cops being mean to each other, I'm a fucking dispatcher on social media. They're going to eat me alive at some point. Just waiting for the day that comes. So stand up for Drew and let people know who you like. And come on, Drew was a cop for 29 years. A lot of these guys who are on social media and that's their main thing, honestly, they're just trying to parlay their cop career into a post-cop career. They all want to be Mike the cop because he's kind of the one that paved the way for that. And I like Mike in many ways, and then I kind of dislike Mike in some ways. Like, I kind of see what happened to Mike, that he stopped being happy doing it. But these guys, they don't have Mike's chops. They're not as smart or as funny as he was, and they're trying to take the easy way to get to where he was and ultimately didn't want to be. So just remember, Drew has got 29 years in. He was an investigator, detective, a beat cop, a dispatcher, a dispatch supervisor. He's got the resume, and he's very, very smart, and he's got great character as well. And so just remember, if you're gonna back anybody, if you're gonna give your likes or subscribes to anybody, if any of that matters, just make sure you're backing the person that you should. Obviously, I'm on Drew's side. Team Drew. We should get T-shirts that say Team Drew. Merch is something that I'm thinking about more and more ever since I made that mug, because I make a lot of artwork for the show, and it's just sort of sitting on a computer. And I know that I have to print out something possibly tomorrow and get it in the mail to Mike Dutcher up north. So start, if you wanted to go through the Instagram and click like on some of the artwork that I've done for the show, you should do that. 10 people, John, let's rock this joint. We're up to 17. I don't get why 17 people are watching me right now, but if you were all in the room with me, I would be sweating a lot. Felony Money says, I hate that I have to get up so early for work. You go to bed, Felony. I got it from here. You can rewatch tomorrow. I'm actually going to address you throughout the night as though you are here because you paid me $20, which we will split 3 ways. So thank you. Chase, he's an attention whore, so it's up to us. Who's an attention whore? Me? I hope you don't mean me, Chase, because I actually hate attention. All the more ironic that I'm in this current position, right? I don't know what to say. Have I expressed how impressed I am with the theme intro to the after show? It's very good. Dewey made it. The scrambly part that's kind of crappy is what I made. It's not as good. I just did do that to throw up something to be visually interesting so that when you hover over the icon later that it does something. Drew, I have the utmost. Is it utmost or upmost? I'm going to go with utmost. Respect for you, usually, but your rants elevate it to uttermostest. I like Drew's rants for the most part. He got that salty language sometimes, which I guess I'm guilty of too. Salt spreader, we are commandos. We still use communists because it's funny, but we did officially adopt commandos recently. So that's your contribution to the show, is you literally named the name of our fans. John changed the screen. I thought of it before the show today. Case in point, I was logging in and it literally showed behind me. I'm like, oh, that says something else. So then I purposely changed it. So I avoided the mistakes of the past. I am learning, we're getting there. What say, Drew? I may make it. I'm kind of mad. Well, I would like it for you to come on and address why. Well, you already addressed why you're mad. I don't want to see you do that. I would like to talk about the disposition of this case, though. Michael Hendricks, that's a sweet ass mug. Boy, I'm real behind. That was like 8 minutes ago. Saltzberger, what's up, after showers? I think he means after showers. I like that after showers could be the name of the people that come to this show. You need a shower afterwards. David gives me $2. I've seen you spend more money than that this week, David. That's all. Thank you. I appreciate it. Marine's Blood says, howdy, y'all. Marine's Blood may be enjoying one of his last after shows because Marine's Blood's all like, oh, this better not be members only content. Well, if it's worth it to you, Marine's Blood, if this is something that you enjoy, I hate to be this way because like Marine's Blood, like I said, we're never going to shortchange you, right? But if it's worth something, if it's valuable, if it's worth something to you, it is worth only what you'll pay for it. I'm not saying it's worth more, but it's like kind of like what I was alluding to in the chats. Like, you indulge in some things for yourself. You buy yourself a coffee. Maybe you enjoy this. Maybe it's not worth it to you. I'm not here to tell you what's worth it to you, but it's like I feel like and I'll speak on behalf of all three of us. We put a lot of effort and energy into the show. I don't even know what Dewey does. We hand the show off to him, and he does so much. I'm appearing on the show. I did pre-production assets this week. I try to make those nice, like everything you saw on the side of the screen where it was like zooming in and all the second counter and all that stuff. I made all of that stuff. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it's like I make that as visually interesting for you as possible. I could pull up YouTube. I could share a screen. Some other podcasts do that where they're just like, oh, pull up YouTube and they show YouTube. I make all this into a nice package for you. Drew does the same thing. Dewey takes all of that and then makes it into a real great package. So we are working every week. Drew has never missed an episode of the show. I took a day off last July to just take a break when I moved out to the country, and Drew did one of his most fabulous episodes ever about that one lady that faked her own disappearance. And it's like got 1,000 views or something, which is great. But Drew's never taken a week off. Drew has been working here for you guys for 17 months straight. And he's supposed to be retired, man. This is something I said to Drew when I first met him. And I want to call back to this because somebody in the chats, I think it was Marine's Blood, mentioned doing a team up or something. I remember the episode where they broke down the murder of Ella French, the Chicago police officer, and the 911 dispatcher, Keith Thornton, who took command of the radio, told units to set up a perimeter, where to go, how to block off the street, how to get the highway clear, tell them which hospital to go to that could handle that level of trauma, giving them advice on CPR, get the vest off, all this. The patron saint of 911 dispatchers, the guy that didn't care what his role was supposed to be. He took charge in a moment where there was a vacuum of leadership, and he responded to an emergency situation. And unfortunately, Officer Ella French was murdered. She was lost in the line of duty. I'm going to tell you something that wouldn't normally say. I remember listening to that episode. I was driving to Minnesota when I was listening to it. I was somewhere. I was northeast of Mankato. And I was listening to that episode, and it was mostly Drew in that episode. The other two guys didn't have much to say. I don't think Mike had much to say. But I don't mean this in a self-serving way, but I was so proud of my profession because of what it could be, because of guys like Keith Thornton. I was so proud that I was tearing up. And I couldn't believe the story of 911 and the story of dispatchers and the power that we have and the role that we play. I'd been doing that, for 6-7 years. I thought it was one of the most powerful podcasts I've ever listened to. And this is before I ever knew Drew. So I'm loving that. And that show, I never could have guessed that I would have been a part of it because I love that episode so much. Could have never guessed that I would have been a part of it. But where was I going with this? Something before I even met Drew. He said something really good to me. And now I can't remember. So I have to go back and look at that comment to see what it was. All I know is Drew's really good. Made him kind of mad. I got myself all thrown off. Drew said something really good to me once before we were doing the show together. Well, he said a couple things to me. If I think of it, I'll remember, and then Felony Melanie can watch tomorrow. I'm sorry. I was just pure stream of consciousness there. Drew said something nice to me once. And it was right after that episode, which is why I brought up the episode. But I had wanted to mention the episode. Yes, Michael, you could do super chats now. We're monetized, baby. Which we would really appreciate anything you want to give us. I hate to say that in a direct fashion, but it's we've been doing the show for free since November. We got nothing. Just been working hard every day since November. Oh yeah, Drew's never taken a day off. And then there was something else I wanted to mention. Anyway, just Drew works real hard. Anyway, you guys love Drew. I don't have to go on about Drew. Felony Melanie, you're going to get an icon. Salamander, here for 1 minute and about to walk into the kids show. Have a good time at the kids show. I don't know what that is. Marine's Blood, yes, they got monetized, Michael. Almost called you today, but then I didn't. Christy, there would not have been a time where you could have called me and I could have taken that call. I woke up this morning at 6:30 and I got up and went to work. And even on the way to work, I was doing podcast prep. I was listening to a show to prep for a podcast I already did today. Went to work. I was there all day until 4 p.m. Then I left, and then I continued to do podcast prep. And then I drove all the way to a taqueria. And even when I was in the taqueria, I was doing podcast prep. And I still didn't do enough, by the way. And then I drove all the way home. I got home. I probably had 10 minutes to let the dog out and take care of some personal business. And then I started podcasting. I've been podcasting all afternoon. I was actually podcasting up until about 20 minutes ago. I was recording for another show. And then like I'm watching the end of this show and I'm like, I remember like, okay, I probably have 10 minutes left. And then Dewey like slash the end. I'm like, oh shit, I better go down there and jump on. So there wouldn't have been time to call me today. If something's wrong, you can call me when this is over. I'll be able to take your call. Otherwise, all day tomorrow, I should be able to take your call. I think, unless I'm forgetting something I have to do. I should call now, Christy. You can call me on the show as long as what you want to talk about is like germane to the show or like a funny story about our youth or something. I mean, you can call about whatever you want to talk about, but like if it's your life or something, then don't do that. Do I see a super chat already from David, $20? Is that because I made him feel bad about throwing money around somewhere else? Mountain Films, Drew gave a super chat. Thank you, Drew. We need to have a business meeting about giving ourselves super chats because that doesn't work the way you think it does. Meat, hot meat. Good. Yes, I haven't checked that out yet. Oh, you guys are talking about the same thing. Drew, I was telling Amanda about that same thing I told you about, that big theft that happened. Michael Hendricks, congrats on the monetization commies. That's a very ironic thing to say. Congrats on the monetization commies because we were doing it the communist way until now. Now we're doing it the capitalist way. And things are going to get a lot better. Breathing mold is good for you. Well, I'll get some bleach in here or something. Thank you, Monsieur. You bumped your mic. It's not a professional show. Sorry. Audio issue much. $20 would go a long way towards helping me. Never mind that I have a spare XLR cable that Patty gave me in my truck and I've never brought it in. Sorry, Patty. Patty's watching the show tonight. Patty's just a lurker, but Patty is watching the show. Patty gave me a free XLR cable because Patty just has extra stuff. Patty's super nice. Patty's super giving. I have like over 100 pounds of Guinness because of Patty. She's here. Hello, Patty. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the XLR cable. The thing is, this thing is the XLR, Patty. I don't know if you could see this, but it actually goes up into the boom mic. So I have to actually disassemble this whole thing. And it actually came pre-assembled. So like I would have to take it apart to get that in there. But I will do that at some point. Michael Hendricks says, John, don't die live on the air. Die in private as God intended. God intended me to die in a car. You went really quiet. Is it better now? I'm so far behind you guys. Sorry for the mic problems. Should Madge call? If Madge wants to, when I open the phone lines. Bad luck for victim with the 0.45. Not very, yes, way of putting that, the 0.45. Not very smart to be holding the gun when you called the cops, though. Completely agree. He did himself in. The logic of the situation should be that, like, yeah, of course, why would you be caught? No pun intended, but why would you be caught dead outside of a gun when you have just called the cops there? He essentially called the cops on himself. The thing is, though, guys, he had those 13 to 14 seconds to drop the gun. So everything that went wrong could have still gone right if Mr. Charles Sharp III had dropped the gun. Why didn't he? I can't even guess. I don't know. Why didn't he drop it? I wish he had. He'd be alive today. I don't think they should fight. I think the thing is, if they fought, it would only bring more attention to Ben, which attention is what powers him, and so we should just take it away from him. Yes, people should call. They will call at some point. Marines Blood, you get to you text me all the time, so like don't feel too bad about monetization if you're not up for it. I took my niece to the zoo today for a field trip and about 1,000 other kindergartners and preschool kids, so I feel your tiredness. Silence is golden. Kids do ruin the zoo. There's a nice zoo not too far away from me. It's actually a really, really nice zoo. It's actually every bit as good as the San Diego Zoo, except there was only one animal they don't have, which is the kangaroo. But no one knows about it. I mean, it's pretty busy when I'm there, but it's a pretty good zoo. They want to be Mike or Donut. I used to be a really big fan of Mike, and you know what happened to Mike over time? I think I could talk about Mike because, like, I was really into Mike the Cop, and then I liked his show. Did you guys not notice that Mike got really mad over the years? That like all the interaction, the negative interaction from him on social media turned him into a really negative person to the point where he's like, "Fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore." I get that now. Like I never understood it before. I always like when Mike started kind of getting angry towards the end, and when he kind of started phoning it in and not showing up for shows, and then Drew would fill in. Maybe you guys remember that period, and you wondered what it was about. It's because Mike didn't want to be there. If he wanted to be there, he would be there. Like whatever's important for you, you're going to be there, which is why I'm here. Mike didn't want to be there, which is sometimes why I kind of like get tired of the Mike ass kissing because like Mike, in a way, he went his own way, which is he's free to do. He's a grown man with his own life, and he didn't owe anybody anything. He entertained us all for free for a long time. But being on social media can make you very negative, and that's the only thing I worry about with Drew is that some of these people are going to get into his head and have lived their rent free, and I don't want to see Drew's peace of mind ruined. Drew's retired. He deserves to be happy. He's on a mission from God, talking about police and society and being rational and discourse without discord. And he's got all these great things going for him, but I definitely get the negativity and how it makes you not want to do this. So just send positive things Drew's way. Remind Drew that you appreciate him. Fill up his DMs, make it a total hassle for him to interact with you, and just send him good stuff so that he's reminded of the reason why he's in this. Because when you've heard the old saying, it takes 10 positives to outdo a negative. Make sure you're sending him 10 positives every day so that every time he has something like that, he gets reminded of the good people, the people that care, the smart people, the rational people, the pro police people, the pro 911, pro dispatch people, the intellectuals, the people that aren't swayed by emotion, the people that aren't just doing what everyone else says, the people that aren't falling in line with Uvalde hate or cop bashing or whatever. And this is a jag that I want to get on if I can. I'll catch up with your comments first. But just send Drew as much positivity as possible because you got to remember he's out there fighting in a very negative environment. We love Drew. We all love it. Team Drew. Hard to imagine a resume like that. Yeah, he's a kind of a big deal. I don't know why he hangs out with me. I've only been doing this for 9 years. I was a correctional officer for 6.5, but I don't know what kind of credulity the correctional officer of me gets. I mean, every once in a while I'm able to talk about like the shit that I've seen or whatever, but I'm not sure it compares to Drew. Will Craig, I've heard merch is cool, but profit margins on them are hard. They're never going to be mass produced for profit, Will. If you guys are members, that's something that we would arrange to send you like on a limited basis, and it would be like maybe a members only thing, just like as a thank you to give back. But yeah, I mean, we're not nearly at a point where, you pretty much have to be like Fleckus Talks to have merchandise. That makes sense. We're not there. It doesn't mean we wouldn't drop a mug on you guys occasionally, Felony Melanie and people like that. They deserve merch if they want it. Salt Spreader Drew seems like he would have been a very fair beat cop. Yeah, he basically came on here and said if you were a hot girl, he let you go. That's not exactly what he said, but I think he said that if you were stupid and you couldn't learn, he wasn't going to waste his time showing up in court to deal with you. I like my profits the same way I like my women. Healthy? Marine's blood. That would be a lot of biological heaters. Sorry, Marine's blood. I've reached the point in the show where I'm so far behind that I don't remember anymore. Madge, I have exciting news. Okay, we'll get to you. Salt, I was loved and hated by crooks and cops. Me. Sorry, Madge. Sorry, I had to leave the after show early. last week, my department got a structure fire call. I came back and rewatched. Thank you, Chase. Thank you for being a fireman fighter. You kind of just, show up and sign the paperwork saying it's a total loss for the insurance company, right? We should definitely have you on the show. I don't really understand firemen, even though like I do a show with one. I don't really ever talk to him about fire. You seem pretty mellow. That might just be coming with years of experience and not having to do that kind of personality wise. You strike me as someone who would not be a dick for no reason. Me? I'm often a dick for no reason. Drew gets provoked to it. I'm still in the field, so sometimes I am a dick for no reason. Deep pull. Marine's blood. Both of your rants are great. I look forward to listening to this again. It was a good rant, right? You love it when you're finally listening to someone who can articulate the things that you think. Like you get so frustrated dealing with society. Like that's why I started liking the podcast in general. But then you finally hear someone. It's not about getting the confirmation bias. It's about realizing you're not alone. Like when you're a conservative, when you're pro police, when you're just standing against everything that this culture is all about, you start to feel very alone because the media is not reporting the things that you think or say. Their whole goal is to make you feel isolated so that you give up, so that you feel like voting doesn't matter and that you question your beliefs and you're demoralized. That's their whole goal. And so when you hear someone who can articulate the things that you think and maybe do it a step better than you, it boosts your morale and it gives you energy and reinvigorates you. Like case in point, just aged myself a little bit. Someone I really liked was Rush Limbaugh. I thought he had great analysis. But the thing that I liked most about him was not necessarily his viewpoint, but the hope that he gave me. And so somebody like Drew, someone that can speak really well, someone who has authority on things. It's just good to listen to. And I'm not saying don't listen to people who don't disagree with you, because you need to sharpen your skills, right? Like if you're going to debate anyone or argue with them, you need to know what they're saying. And you need to be able to you need yourself, you need to come up with your own reasons why they're full of shit. But you listen to someone long enough and it kind of can help hone those things and figure out what your own beliefs are, because you can listen to Drew and you're going to find something eventually. If you listen to him long enough, you're going to find something you disagree with him on, but then you'll be able to say why, because like you have formed like these firm beliefs. And so anyway, just really pro Drew. Let me call. Okay, I gotta catch up with the comments. Salt Spreader, glad to have contributed, even maybe monetarily someday sooner than later. Are you saying you want to be you want royalties for the use of the phrase commies or commandos? Or you're saying you'll contribute to us monetarily whenever you're ready? You're already contributing around here, Salt Spreader. You're a relatively new face. You're not someone that I saw from the old network, and you're here, so you're in many ways you're the OG commando. Unless someone else is jumping the chats right now, but I consider Salt Spreader the OG commando. Michael Hendricks, wait, it's on the record store. It was the music shop, right? Yes. Sorry, I don't know. Dewey just exists. Dewey works hard. Dewey does a lot. Salt, my secret to police work, everyone has a story to get where they got, and I'm not better than any of them. Time is 5:50 or 20:54. Oh my gosh, I'm far behind. Chase. Oh my gosh. I am like 17 minutes behind. Ooh. David, this will be a call-in show. Absolutely, because you paid $20. I'm going to talk to you if you want to. Stop trying to guilt me into searching my couch for enough change to pay. Laying off. I am going to pass around the jar in general, though, Marine. So just ignore me, I guess, when I try to advocate for myself that my work is worth money. Obviously, it should just be for free. I think I missed one. Didn't you do one with Carly? I don't know what you mean. So probably yes. Appreciate the hard work, John, Drew, and Dewey. Yes. I had a new kitten. Is that what you want to call in about? Because I'm going to tell you something right now, Madge. Your cats frequently ruin hard time. Like I'll be listening and I'm talking to Jake, and then there's something in the background, and I don't know if it's one of your many children or one of your many cats. So if you had another cat, I don't know that. I'm happy about that. Highway 169. Yes, Will Cray, that is where I was. I was on US 169. You know all about it. Michael Hendricks. I remember that Ella French episode. I was listening to it on the way to a meeting in Columbus, and it was such a hard one to listen to. I cried a little bit, guys. That one was a tough one. Great episode, though. I know I spelled your name wrong, John. Thank you. I wasn't going to say anything because you've been such a good guy to me. Now I'm choked up, John. Will Cray says it's a really nice stretch on that highway. Yeah, there's a beautiful part there. Mankato to St. Peter to Henderson to Belle Plaine, where you're in LeSueur County, I believe. Anyway, you're on the stretch and it kind of like jogs back and forth over the river. And it's really pretty there, particularly certain times of year. There's also a bowling alley in LeSueur that's pretty good. I went bowling there once. Michael, do you know who Johnny Hamcheck is? I don't know. Once, are you familiar? I'm still here. Hey, Felony Melanie, you were still here at 8:57. You were still here more than 15 minutes ago. Michael Hendricks, I am not. Looked him up, Columbus guy. That's between you and him. Michael Hendricks dropped $10. He deserves a raise and a new water heater. Thank you. I did buy a water heater, and when the bill comes, I'm going to be enjoying some hot water and maybe some hot toast. We'll see. I figured you would have assumed I had died had I called. Yes, that's a deep reference that I won't get into on the air. Felony Melanie, tell your dog I said hi. My cat was literally just in here because I didn't lock the door. So if my cat jumps up, you'll get to see my cat. Nothing's wrong. Madge is waiting. We've only netted $9. Oh, man. What's the actual conversion rate, Drew? I'm worried. I'm worried that it's not that good. John doesn't need a raise. Mountain Films, maybe you forget that I'm being paid just by elsewhere. So, I mean, don't worry about me. Marine's Blood, I'm very far behind. I'm officially 15 minutes behind. Will Cray. John routed the CLR cable correctly. No, when I bought the boom, it was already inside. I plugged male into female and female into male. And once I, figured out what that meant, that was an eye-opening experience. Isn't Patty a derogatory term, particularly considering the gift of Guinness? I didn't say Patty. I said Patty is in Patricia. Her name's Patricia. Patricia is one of my coworkers, and she watches, but she does not say anything. Just like all day when I'm at my computer, when I'm dispatching all day. I'll turn around and she'll be watching me. She doesn't do that. Not all the time. At least reasonable explanation. Open the phone line, brother. It will be opened. This is the after show. I love you guys, Drew says. John, you're way more smart, funny, and talented than I am. I look up to you. I look up to you, Drew. Something else, Drew, just information for you. I had my physical, and they said that I'm down to 6'4", so now you and I are the same height. And I think I'm the same height as Dewey now. Dewey, you're 6'4", aren't you? I'm worried that the three of us are the same height now because I'm losing bones. My bones are going away. I have osteobonitis or whatever it is. I like how everyone's just putting in how late I am. Didn't Mindy's father from Mork and Mindy own a music store? I barely recall that, Drew. The last time I saw that, it was on Nick at Night, and I was like 5 years old. Sorry. Salt Spreader. No, man, I'll contribute. Happy to have been involved in any way in the show. Yes, you contributed very nice. Initially, we were going to be the communists. That's the best I could do, which is okay, but not great. As the show grows, us referring positively to communists, anyone who's new to the show, they're not going to understand that. I'm like, because we were like, thanks to all the communists out there for supporting us. And they're going to be like, what the hell is this show? I don't think so, buddy. And then they're going to go salute the flag. And so pivoting over to commandos is a really good idea. So you may have saved the show. We'll create a good time, but there's someone else. I like how ominous this is. A good time, but there's someone else. Who knows what that means? Salt spreader. You should also Venmo, Cash App, and anything other than supers that only pay money and take your funds. I don't know. There's a line somewhere where I just start saying, "Hey guys, here's my Venmo," and then there's a point where you're supporting the show. You're doing it publicly so everyone can see and inspires other people to share. And then there's a point where where I literally am just a guy begging. I think once I send you my Venmo, I think I'm literally panhandling. I think I'm the equivalent of the guy who's washing your windshield when you're at a red light. You plug male into female. Did you assume the gender of the plugs? Moving on. Hours catching up. We need more chatting. Sorry, guys. I'm doing the best I can. Collectively, we are 19 feet on the nose. Wow, make it a required highlight. Hyatt. I'm sorry. I'm missing whatever you're saying, Marines, but I'm almost near the end. I'm almost caught up now because you guys stopped chatting for a while. It's going to sound really bad. You guys are like a foot taller than me. We are Felony Melanie. And someday when you and I hang out, it's going to be really creepy because, fun fact, all tall people are afraid of all short people. All right. Marking to see how far behind you are. It is 9:16 on Wednesday morning. We're caught up now. John, what has happened to Ruff McGruff? What has happened to Ruff McGruff, the crime dog who went to jail for like 9 years? Any better now? I don't know what to say about that. I don't normally have problems with it. He's caught up, Amanda Gatewood says. I had such a busy day. I didn't get to prepare any fun assets for the show. So I feel bad about that, particularly since you guys are paying for it now. Now the whole after show things, particularly if and when we monetize after show, is going to be really guilt-based. Let me ask you guys a serious question. This question's for you, so answer now. What if we didn't monetize the after show? What if we didn't monetize the after show at all? What if we monetize the show? This is just you and me chatting back and forth. If you're a fan of the channel, you can see like our edited clips, you can see our shorts. But what if to see our major cases, what if you paid for that and this was free? What do you guys think about that? I didn't forget about you, Madge. How could I? You won't let me. Conservative for years now. Yeah, I'm fairly conservative. How's the weather up there? It's cold and it's lonesome. Felony, maybe try a little empathy. Love for the after show to be free. He likes it, but what do you say, Will? But make the Mondays paid? I didn't even do a show on Monday. Nobody noticed. That's how much Mondays matter. Nobody even cared. I overslept and I didn't do it. And I was at one point, it's like 2 p.m. I'm like, wow, I had a really good Monday. Nothing's going on. I'm like, oh shit, yeah. I had been doing this Monday show, but nobody was showing up for that. And like I realized I the first time I did that, I was like, yeah, I wanted to increase our watch hours. I want to give more content. You always want to do more content. But it's like, I'm just really getting on here and I'm kind of talking and ranting and I don't know how good it is. And I really want to see how the response is. And so like now that I missed a Monday and nobody noticed or cared, it's how I know that the coffee break really doesn't matter to anybody. Nobody said anything. No one DM'd me. No one said anything. So I don't know if the Mondays will come back. Maybe they will. The main show is what people are usually here for. So that's why you would want them to pay for it. Right? You pay to go to a movie. You don't pay for the snacks. You just take the popcorn, right? I have a feeling it would keep your main show from growing. You think so? I wonder, because we would still take the content and we would dice it up. So like a show like tonight, it was 2 hours long, and we had sections where we talked about the comments. We had sections where we talked about the 911. We had sections where we brought up to the body cam. Do you see how we could kind of take that apart and make it into like shorter chunks, like where if it's like a 20-minute thing, I think people would still watch that. In fact, if you look at our channel, Dewey and Drew have been putting in a lot of work to take a lot of our old material and a lot of our current stuff. Like even I did a little bit of this to help, but like the tribute to Tobin Bolter, where I just cut out the part where we talked about Deputy Bolter up in Idaho. I took that section because we had a whole Amanda Nenniger thing after that. I took that section and I just put that out, and people watched that. So I feel like you can repurpose things, and then people could still watch the show. But then if you want to watch a whole blown show, maybe you could do it that way. But I appreciate you guys' feedback either way. Captain Micah says I'd subscribe, but I like to subscribe to things because I like to pay for the things I consume. That is the capitalist model, and it is the most moral model on earth, per Micah. Dewey likes that idea. I'll buy you lunch. Is that a angry face I'm seeing from Edge? Monetize it all. If you're working here, you deserve to be paid for your service. Yes, you're right that we deserve to be paid for everything, but Chase is also right that like you have to walk a line, right? Like you have to show people, you have to do it like a drug dealer, right? You give them a little bit to get hooked, and then once you got them hooked, then you make them pay. So we have to be really good drug dealers, and we're not going to be like violent ones. We're like, we're breaking your legs if you don't pay us, or like ruining your life. We need to be classy gentlemen drug dealers. That's what we're looking to do here. Free main show. I'd pay to chat if I knew you wouldn't interrupt me. I won't interrupt you, Amanda. Go ahead. Go ahead. I won't interrupt you. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm worried that you're worried. I'm worried that I've been interrupting you. Who will cry? I didn't get a notification Monday, so I assume no show. You did not get a notification because there was no show. The Monday memes are funny. There's a source of those memes, and then, we got to make sure those memes are still coming in. I noticed, I'm sorry I missed the last one. I got to get a tooth pulled. Sorry about your mouth. You did like 4 coffee breaks, man. I know. Just 4 is enough. I'll continue to do it. You've got to let it grow. I've heard that before. Salt spreader. I keep trying to comment too long and having to finish them in a second one. That is okay. I'll try to keep it together so I know what you mean. Monetize what you will. I'll try to escape together. Scrape together funds. I thought he was saying monetize what you will. I will scrape by without paying for it. I will find a way to pirate your content. And Marine's blood, if you want to be like the pirate out there, you want to be the one scamming the system to get your free Comm Center. How can I not respect that? I'll be mad because it's taking bread out of my mouth, but like I admire the moxie of it. Thank you. Yes, I did edit that tightly. Live stream should be monetized. So like what I'm doing now, you're saying should be monetized. See, the thing is, I agree with you, but I also feel bad because I'm like, okay, so we put the show out and people see this really good produced thing, like this tight, entertaining, me and Drew talking, good show, nice transitions. I think Drew and I have a good tete-a-tete. And then, but then, like, what, you pay to just show up and I read your chats? I mean, you guys like this. I mean, even Patty today asked me if I was doing the after show. People ask me if I'm doing it. I'm glad you like the direct, like, interaction. I just want to make sure that that's worth it to you to like pay to come in the door. I almost feel like I'm a comedian at this point and there's like a cover charge at the door, Nick, who I don't see here very much, says, I like Drew, and he's one of the 5 people that made it out of the falls without a meth addiction and burglary charges. Do you mean like the Niagara Falls, or it's possible that he has a meth addiction. I don't know that if he does or doesn't. And he could do burglaries now that he's not a cop anymore. You're allowed to have felonies after you're not a cop. Yes, I need a taste before I commit. A taste of what? Oh, of the show. Like you need to see what you're getting, what you're paying for. Yes, Nick, there were 6 of us actually, but one of us died due to the love canal. I don't even want to know what that means. The last time I heard someone referring to that, it wasn't good. You are not interrupting me. My job interrupting me while I'm trying to sit and listen and engage. Amanda, I feel the same way where like I'll be doing something, just a task, maybe something podcast related. And then the phone rings and it's just like, what? What is it you need right now? Somebody needs something right now. And I think to myself, like, somebody out there is right now. And they're like, I'm going to call the sheriff's office. It's 11 o'clock at night. And I'm going to call about a ticket. And it's just like, why are you calling right now? The neediness of some people galls me sometimes. So I feel you, Amanda, but stay strong. Back to work, so I'll be looking. Comm Center's great. Marine's Blood, I'm glad you like it. We do it all for you, buddy. It's the same channel. It's monetized right. Well, it's monetized in the sense right now that you can do super chats. But becoming a member is different. Someone's calling in and I haven't gotten there yet. This is my cat. What is a love canal? I'm not answering that. Can we gift membership? I would think so. If you wanted to try gifting membership right now, you could, Felony. I mean, that would just be money to me. What is okay? I'm not reading that. I might have missed something, I guess. Right. So Salt's Better. There's members. There'll be membership at some point where you can go to our page and subscribe and become a member. And then there's going to be exclusive content that's only available to those members. What that will be is TBD at this point. We're thinking like reaction videos to like cop movies or more of this type of thing, possibly the after show specifically. But we're going to be creating more Comm Center content for you so that if you pay and like every month your account is debited, that gives you access to stuff here that's exclusive to you. It's like you're buying something. You're getting something for free, but you're also buying something, and we would produce more product for you to buy. You will be the death of me. Sometimes I like to play Lion King with them. I hope we don't get banned for that. Dewey, could you blur that out? Go away, cat. You sicken me. All right. All right. I'm not reading that. My officers that like to interrupt me with traffic stops. Oh, I know. Amanda, what's your 10 code for a traffic stop? I want to be able to do a little skit if you tell me what it is. Cat. Fox, orange cat explains a lot about you. There's a lot more about that cat. I get it. It asks a lot more questions than what it answers, and it still answers a lot. The cat's very long. Cat prawn. Cat prawn. One time, Drew and I were having a production meeting like a year ago, and the cat, I just gotten him. He jumped up on the computer and he was just, the brown eyes always watching, and he was just flashing Drew and he wouldn't stop. And I was doing this like pretending it was horrifying me, but I couldn't intervene at all. You will never see the cat ever again, by the way. That's the end of the cat. Normally I close the door, so sorry about that. All right. Should we open up the phone lines? Someone from California called. I invite that. I will audio attenuate it again at 9:19. Sorry about my audio attenuation. I like that you use the proper term for it. Audio attenuation is very good, Drew. All right. I'm going to call this guy back. John. It's John speaking. Can you guys hear that? Can you hear it ringing? Not answering. He's big timing me. I'm not good at outbound calls. I never do this at work. Well, hardly ever. Okay. You had your chance. Not going to get big timed by you, California. Damn it. Go away, Fox. Okay. So, Madge, I guess the floor is yours. Otherwise, I'm going to have to try to find some kind of content to entertain everyone with. I mean, I could also discuss the case. I would like to discuss that a little bit. So I will be discussing the police officer in Mantua Township at some point, because Drew got so mad at the end of the episode, I forgot to talk about the end of the case. So I need to talk about that just in fairness to our commandos. Madge. Oh, I have to put up the number. Madge is probably wondering what it is. She's like, I don't know. There you go. All right. Entertaining stuff. Do you see why I don't maybe want to monetize the show? It's just me and this frigging cat. Go get a job. Make me sick. Madge, you've been driving me nuts. You're not going to call? This is your big chance. 10:25, 10:52. They're on a call, right? Meow. Which one is it? You gave me 2 10 codes. I'll call after Madge. Well, she's not calling, buddy. I have to go. Sorry to jump on it, John. Have a good night. All right. Here we go.
Call from Madge. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello, Madge. You got a cat, huh?
Yeah, well, so, my husband, who's not named, gave me fucking Drew Brees' name, so I couldn't reach you as fast as I wanted to. I do have a new cat, but how are you?
I'm doing good. My cat's in here really throwing off my rhythm. For some reason, I've shown the cat twice on the show, which actually I feel really bad about, because who gives a fuck about my cat?
I don't think I want to talk about my cat situations, but I just found this new one as a black male yesterday. We named him Odin, and Mike is like, he's like, why are you trying to post about that? And I'm like, well, I just think John looks tired, and we can talk about cats.
I do look tired. I'm exhausted. You can see the dark circles under my eyes.
You look exhausted, brother.
I am pretty tired, but like I have to show up for the commandos, you know.
Yep, you got to do what you have to fucking do. My husband, who's in law enforcement, as you know, has worked since Sunday to Thursday, but from, what was it? Tuesday night, he came home at 4 a.m. on Tuesday. He had to go on Wednesday. I'm trying to remember it because I'm so exhausted. So basically, he came home from Tuesday night at 4 a.m. He had to go back on Wednesday night at 10 a.m. Then he worked until 10 p.m. Then he had to get back up again and work until from, what was it, 10 a.m. until 10 p.m. So I'm all lost and confused. It's been exhausting. So just in case anybody is in the law enforcement world, you get lost. It's confusing. He wasn't here for the last 2 lunches, but he's fine. He's home now.
When I work overnight, I never know what day it was. There was a brief stint I did last year where 6 weeks I was overnight, and I was never fully awake, and I was never fully asleep until one day I had become fully asleep, and all of a sudden I woke up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm late. And I had no idea what day or time it was. I didn't even know if it was day or night outside because I got the blackout curtains. I'm like, I can't wait to surprise myself when I open the door. Am I gonna wake up to Wednesday at 2 p.m. or is it Friday 9:30 at night? I have no idea.
No, it's fucking ridiculous. Okay, so last night he came home from his last shift, which he started at 10 a.m. last morning. He came home and got to sleep 4 hours and then worked till this afternoon. And we have the blackout curtains too. I've lost control of all the time. I'm just grateful it's the fucking weekend because this guy has got less than 4 hours on each shift sleep this whole week since Sunday. And it is now Thursday night. So, yeah, it's been a long weekend on top of the fact that I found a kitten in my yard.
And of course, you find a stray cat and you take it in. You don't do the reasonable thing and let them just pursue their own freedom and liberty.
No, because like my dogs like love kittens inside, but they like murder them in the yard. I don't know what that is. I don't have words for that, but we're not going to talk about that. Yeah. So, and then my husband is a kind of husband. He's like, no, we're not doing this. We're not taking in another. And then he holds them. I have pictures for you later. And then he goes, okay, this is fine.
It sounds like you've been through quite a cat-related ordeal lately. How's the rest of your life doing?
Oh, well, okay. So kids are good. We're just trying to deep clean and move everything around. As Madge, I have a 3.5-year-old, a 2.5-year-old. They're Irish twins. And then I have a 17-month-old, which is the angel at the moment because everybody else doesn't want to fucking sleep. And there goes the air conditioning. Hold on, I have to move.
I'm going to be honest with you.
No.
I don't understand how children happen, and I don't know what you're up to that's making that happen. But you've got to stop.
Oh, you know what? You know how children happen. You fuck a lot.
Oh, very, very, very classy. Thank you for explaining that to me so scientifically. You could have been like, well, it's just like the XLR cable, you know. Thank you.
Yeah, no, the third was unpronounced. Like, she was just like, hi, I'm here. I was like, oh, shit. Because I already have Irish twins. So I was like, oh, well, that's a thing. So I guess I'm doing that. And so, yeah, no, like, but she's our biggest blessing, our chunk. We call her, we say, chunk up, damn, chunk it up, chunk a munch. And she's our beautiful blessing. She's 17 weeks old, which normal people would say like she's nearing a year and a half.
Yeah, I was going to say on Hard Time recently, I expressed some disgust with how late people refer to the children.
Everybody says what's the fucking numbers. They're like, oh, they're 38 weeks and 1 month in the corner on September, and you're like, what the fuck are you saying? So yeah, I try not to be that person, but she's 17 weeks old, our youngest, our chunk.
That's great, and children really, truly are a blessing, and so I'm actually glad for you. Yes. Sorry about my comments about not understanding how it happened.
No, you're fine. I don't think anything personal. You know, I was just like, oh my gosh, I actually have time for this, and I was just like, Jon, I miss you.
Well, that was very sweet of you to miss me. Do you feel caught up now?
So what have you been up to like the last 2 days?
Barely being asleep and being here for the plumber and going to work. Should I post a picture of my water heater to Instagram? I'm sure everyone would love that.
Has anybody started a GoFundMe? Because I was watching the live and people have been posting, and I was like, damn, we really need a GoFundMe, like for Jon's water heater. Those are not cheap.
No,
have you ever
woken, for the bill
you've obviously woken up to a water heater unworking. I have too. It's bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe what I'll do is actually I'll just now that I know how to turn off the water main, I'll just take it out, uninstall it, and then I'll put it on the Facebook Marketplace. I'll just have cold water, and then I can earn that money back. And then I won't be using as much water because obviously I won't enjoy showering. So my gas bill will go down too because I won't have hot water. So you're really making a lot of sense. I think if I just commit to they call it Scottish baths, actually just taking cold showers. They say it's very invigorating.
No, I grew up poor. Poor as shit.
I grew up poor too.
No, okay, so tell me, I'm going to tell you how I grew up poor, okay? I had to wash my hair, which I had long hair. I had to wash my hair in the sink, which I had long hair, shampoo, conditioner, and then I had to go into a freezing fucking shower so I can wash my skin for 2 years. For 2 years. Tell me that's not child abuse.
Yeah, I didn't have heat growing up. I mean, I can relate.
I like went to make something on the stove because like everybody wanted eggs and like the propane wasn't on. Like, and then my mom was just like, if that happens to everybody, I'm like, bitch, no, it doesn't. No, it does not.
Yeah, it's not very normal.
So yeah, no, I totally resonate with the cold water shit.
Yeah.
It makes my skin crawl just thinking about it. So I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I used to take cold showers after I worked out, and it would actually kind of make me feel better. So I think it's a good idea.
Everybody likes it.
I think I'll probably follow through with that. I know I'm probably not going to recoup all my money, but with the super chats tonight, I might financially recover. So
I hope so, because everybody deserves to take a warm shower. Like, we've had a hot water heater go out in this place that we live and stuff, and like I was just like, and this is before we had kids. I was like, I think our hot water went out, so I just like boiled water on the pot in the stove, and like so that my husband and I could take baths. And like, some people, you just have to go through things.
it definitely makes you stronger.
Unfortunately.
But I do have a gym membership. I could just shower at the gym. So I think I'm 100%.
Just go to Define Fitness and just take a shower in their hot water shower.
Yeah.
It's well lighted, and the towels are they're like complimentary.
Yeah. My gym's right across the street from work, so it would work out fine. But Will Craig called me, Madge, so I got to let Will Craig call. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for calling and checking on me. I appreciate it.
I love you guys.
I will talk to you later.
Call.
Bye.
All right. Fuck off, everybody. Bye.
Have a good
love
night.
You.
Bye. Thank you, Madge. It's so sweet. Thank you for telling me that children are created by fucking. My God. Just couldn't have been more delicate about that. Anyway, April thinks no more showers, or Amanda says no more showers for me. April says, I want to read this whole thing from April because she's got a whole scheme here. First of all, Micah wants to know if I want to copy a 28. I do not. You can run that 28 yourself. But April says a 12-month-old and a 23-month-old are both one, but only the 23-month-old is capable of taking a life. What a scene that has to be. I happen to know that April's got more kids than Madge does. So actually, they have between the two of them, they actually have enough where each of them could like stand on opposite sides of a field and just point at each other, and the legions of children would all attack each other. It would be like one of those movies about ancient Rome or something, but not in a weird way. April says, and then put the boiled water in the tank for later. Yes, that's right. I should drain the tank. I could even, what I could do, April, is I could actually boil the water and then like put it just in a laundry basket or a hamper or something, and then just spoon myself. All right. April knows how to get it done. The case, yes. Have I not been busy this entire time? Mountain Films. Have to log off for the night. Well, listen. Sorry, Dewey. All right. I will get to Will in a minute. I want to read about this case. Let me friggin' open it up. Open up my history. Tell you guys what happened. Charles Sharp. Pull that open. So I'm going to tell you what ended up happening. This is from the New Jersey Office of the Attorney General. It's funny because I interacted with the Office of Attorney General once when it came to everything that went down with the Najee Seabrooks case. But basically, the officer has been indicted on manslaughter charges. So that was released May 24th, 2023. So we're coming up on a year. It doesn't mean that the case has had any disposition on it yet. But this from Trenton, the state capital, state grand jury on Tuesday, May 23, voted to file a criminal charge against Mantua Township police officer in connection with the death of Charles Sharp III, 49, of Mantua, New Jersey. He was shot and fatally wounded by the officer on September 14th, 2021. Attorney General Matthew J. Platkin today, who I am not a fan of, because you have to remember the Attorney General's office in New Jersey is trying to take over various small police departments, like the one that was the Najee Seabrooks case. I'm forgetting the name of the police department right now, but I will remember it as soon as I go to bed. Anyway, it's one of those things where there are consent decrees and all this, where larger and larger governments are trying to take over police forces. Anyway, the Attorney General announced today the grand jury returned an indictment against Salvatore Oldrati, charging him with one count of manslaughter. Mr. Sharp was shot multiple times outside of his home, but one of the very officers he had called upon for help. His life was cut short seconds after Officer Oldrati arrived at the scene while Mr. Sharp was still on the phone with the police dispatcher. See, I hate that, because the Attorney General is trying to say, well, he was still on the phone with the dispatcher, as though that makes the officer shooting him any more premature. It does not. The officer's not looking at him, seeing the phone in his hand, saying, well, that guy's on a 911 call. He's definitely got to be our caller. He saw the gun in his hand and said, this guy's probably the burglar, and he's not dropping the gun. So we know exactly what kind of Attorney General this guy Platkin is. When residents call 911 for services, they're concerned. They need assistance. They seek protection. And they trust the officers responding to their calls will respond accordingly and help them. Tragically, that did not happen here. You're a fucking dick, dude. You are not paying attention to what happened. I am 100% convinced that this Matthew Platkin guy is using this for his own means, because that's not what happened. Less than 5 seconds time elapsed between Officer Oldrati stepped out of his police vehicle and when he began firing at Mr. Sharp. No. We heard on the 911 call that 13 seconds went by. Drop the gun between that and when shots were fired. I'm sorry, I looked at it myself. I actually didn't take on this case and say, like, what can I pull out of this to destroy the intellectual credibility of this case? I didn't do that. I'm going to tell you what happened right now, and I'm glad that I'm mad, because him saying less than 5 seconds. First of all, how many seconds does it take for a burglar to shoot a cop? Drew would be right here right now saying, takes a lot less than 5 seconds. The amount of time being 5 seconds is immaterial. When I was listening to the 911 call, you guys heard that one spot before where I heard the officer in the background, and I said I had to plug both my ears to hear the officer say, you know, how do you know that he's got a gun? And at first I didn't even hear that. I had to go back and go over it, because the dispatcher seems to ask out of nowhere, you know, how do you know he's got a gun? I'm like, that question was probably prompted by a police officer. How do I know that? My years of training and experience. That sometimes when I know when a dispatcher is asking a line of questioning and then goes back to an earlier question and wants confirmation on it, it's because a police officer asked. He said, how do you know he's got a gun? He tells the story. And then the dispatcher is sitting there putting the information in the CAD. You can hear Sharp say, well, there he goes, as if Sharp is sitting there, you know, looking at the thing going on or whatever. And then you listening to the background, because now I'm actually keyed in, like, oh, I can actually hear what's happening on this call on the phone. Because sometimes you listen to 911 phone calls and you can't hear shit and there's nothing to gain. But I heard something. And I heard the officer say, drop the gun. And then all of a sudden, you know, I'm still listening to it and nothing's happening. And I knew that the guy got shot. So I'm like, wait, he told the guy to drop the gun. When is he going to start shooting? And then, because I wanted to do a countdown for you, once I realized it was a long time, I'm like, my God, this is 13 seconds. So you saw on the screen, it says, as soon as he says, drop the gun, you saw it flash up in red, you know, drop your gun. I put the text up there so you could see it so you could listen, follow along, looking and seeing. And then I had the 13-second countdown. And so how that works on my timeline editors, I have to literally put in a box that's a second long, and it says the numbers counting down. I copied and pasted that later in the timeline and then moved it down to the lower left-hand corner to show you that it was the same amount of seconds. So as soon as you hear the shots fired, the police officer shooting the gun, I'm like, well, it was 13 seconds prior to that he actually spoke the words. I know that because I've already heard the audio track. I've already timed it out so that it's almost 14 seconds, but just to be safe, I'm going to say 13. And so then, well, I'm going to overlay that with the video track so that you can see at what point in the video he's giving verbal commands, so that we could say, so that hopefully what I was hoping to say is that you would see on the screen, because sometimes body cams start and then the audio doesn't kick in. There's usually a delay there, because what happens is the officer hits the button and then the last 30 seconds have already been recorded, because it's recording all the time, but then it's erasing over itself. So it just constantly has the last 30 seconds, but you hit the button. So it saves the last 30 seconds and then it starts the audio right away from when you hit the button. So you usually have about 30 seconds where you have video but no audio. Somebody correct me on that if I'm wrong. But I wanted to be able to overlay the text on the screen because I figured you wouldn't be able to hear it. Like officer giving commands now. And you would be able to see Charles Sharp reaching for his waistband, refusing to comply, whatever happened. And then I realized, well, if you go back 13 seconds, it's before the body cam begins. You go back 13 seconds and there's nothing there, because what was released to the public doesn't show. First of all, it doesn't even show this officer who's being indicted. It doesn't show his vantage point. When an officer takes out a gun, he holds it in front of him like this. He gets into a shooter stance. You roll your shoulders forward. Your eyes are going straight down the sights, just like they are with my hands right now, straight at the screen. And that body cam's right here on the chest, right? So the body cam is situated right here on top of the breastbone. You roll those shoulders out into your shooter stance. What happens? You can see the gun. If he's aiming right down the sights to shoot someone directly in front of him in a shooter stance, you should be able to see the gun in there. So the body cam footage that they put out is not the officer that's being indicted, and it was edited so that at no point in that body cam do you see the officer giving verbal commands. Now, any exculpatory evidence, meaning the body cam included, is covered by what we call Brady doctrine. There's a case called Brady versus Maryland, in which a defendant was able to successfully make a case on appeal that the prosecutors had exculpatory evidence and did not give it to the defense. So when the prosecutors have exculpatory evidence, they have to give it to the defense so the defense can use it to vigorously pursue their defense, anything that's exculpatory. So we have this case go out to the public. They only release what they want to release to the news because they're in charge of their own media. They're their own public information officer. They decide. And they intentionally convicted this officer in the court of public opinion. And why would they do that? I'll tell you exactly why. Because they cannot convict him in a court of law. Because the video that we have not seen, I'm convinced, will show the officer rolling up on scene, finding a man armed. We don't know who that man is. 13 seconds goes by in which he did not respond to verbal commands to drop the gun, which would have saved his life. And the officer discharges the firearm. Those critical 13 seconds are what Charles Sharp used to decide to live or die. And I don't know if he froze up. I don't know if he got scared. I don't know if he did the wrong thing. I don't know. I'm not here to indict Charles Sharp and say that it's his fault, other than that he was walking around like a dumbass outside with a gun and for some reason did not drop it when given commands to do so. I heard the commands. So don't say it didn't happen, and don't lie to me about the timing of it, because I heard 13 seconds go by in which I can hear the static, I can hear the dispatcher talking, I can hear other things going on. So I know that it's 13 seconds between verbal command and when a shot is fired, not 5 seconds. This press release I'm reading to you right now is a lie. They want to convict him in the court of public opinion. Why would they want to do that? Because that is political pressure that the defense attorney is likely, and the officer himself, being under that kind of pressure, they're much more likely to take a plea bargain now. If they feel like the odds are all stacked against them, that society believes that he did this, that he blew this guy away for no reason, you could see that he's already feeling anxious about it just because he had to discharge his firearm. Most cops don't ever have to do that. And in 2021, when he's adding his name to the list of officers who have killed someone in the line of duty in 2021, if that doesn't make your asshole shrink and your balls pull back up into your abdomen, nothing will. So he's immediately on the defensive anyway. This attorney general goes after him, puts him out as a sacrificial lamb, as a scapegoat for everything that's going wrong in policing to make himself look good, just like that lady Dana Nessel did up in Michigan to Matthew Mistretta. Look up the Matthew Mistretta case. That was a great example of a police officer doing his job, and he got completely fucked by an attorney general in a state that wanted to make get political gains for herself by going after a good and decent and proper police officer. And this guy, Matthew Platkin, is doing the exact same thing because he's distorting the facts. He's lying to the public. He sought an indictment against a police officer that I'm convinced didn't do anything wrong. And he's using this edited video released to the public to put up that pressure. Now, it didn't get as widely trafficked in 2021, I'm guessing because a lot went wrong that year. And I'm sorry that this just wasn't the most egregious case of police, excessive force in 2021. But this is exactly what's happening. Now, here we are a year later. Obviously, I'll have to look to see if anything has transpired on the case, but I'm going to continue to read this announcement here. I'm all fired up. I'm in full auto mode. Officer Oldrati gave no verbal commands or warnings before shooting Mr. Sharp. Lie. You heard it tonight on Comm Center. You heard it. Who said it if it wasn't the officer? Who ordered him to drop the gun? He didn't order himself to drop the gun. If anybody's saying it, if anyone's saying drop the gun, I guess the gun should be dropped, even if it was a burglar telling him to drop the gun. Why is he holding up a gun? No verbal warnings. Not only that, but Drew would tell you he doesn't have to. When it's feasible, you give a verbal warning. And as we know from Ben Darby's case, the beat of the weapon doesn't have to be pointed at a police officer. You, citizen, are not going to wait until I'm pointing a gun at you. If you think I'm going to shoot you, why are you going to wait for that? Are you an idiot? You're just hoping the law of the fastest gun is what's going to save your life? My bullets might be faster than yours, pal. This is such a load of shit. The grand jury determined that his conduct was not justified and warranted the return of an indictment of manslaughter. That is conflating two things. To say that his conduct was not justified and that it warranted a return of manslaughter. What a grand jury does is look at evidence and say, could it possibly be a case of a wrongful killing? Possibly. To get an indictment, you just show video of a guy shooting someone. That's enough for an indictment for manslaughter. That's enough for an indictment of manslaughter. And it's not a statement on whether or not his conduct was justified, because it's not up to a grand jury to decide whether or not his conduct was justified. Graham v. Connor says that has to be determined with the officer in mind. An officer has a different expectation about how that's supposed to turn out. We don't take the citizen. The citizen is not a trained police officer. That's Graham v. Connor. This guy, Matthew Platkin right here, he's not even as good an attorney as me. He's a politician. By the way, I'm like in the second paragraph, and I'm disgusted beyond comparison. The fatal police encounter was investigated by the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability. Roll my eyes at that. Presented to the grand jury in accordance with Directive 2019-4, the Independent Prosecutor Directive issued in 2019. This office issued standard operating procedures that ensure these grand jury presentations are conducted in a neutral and objective manner and with appropriate transparency regarding the process consistent with the Independent Prosecutor Directive. This should have never been brought before a grand jury, in my opinion. They don't have to do that, It's not automatic. The investigation of this officer involved death, included interviews of witnesses, witnesses. Let me ask you, what use of force looks good to a witness? You have to be a real asshole to have a police officer using force against you and have someone cheering for the cops, particularly in 2021. What use of force looks good to a witness? Who are these witnesses? Are they fellow police officers? I'm curious. Collection of forensic evidence. Yes, we know he discharged the gun. Nobody's arguing whether or not he shot and killed the man. We're arguing about whether or not it was justifiable under the totality of circumstances and him operating as a police officer. Review of video footage, which we haven't seen, and autopsy results. Yes, we know that he was shot to death. Give me a break. Again, when he's listing these things, he's saying these are all reasons why this was unjustified. All he's saying when you say that there's evidence, there's video footage, all it is confirming what we know, which is that the police officer shot him. Those facts are not in dispute. I'm not disputing that. I'm saying it wasn't wrong. And yet this attorney is putting these things out. He's issuing this to the public, is saying these are reasons why this wasn't acceptable. Did you know that sometimes police officers can and should shoot people? It's never to kill them, it's to neutralize the threat. And if someone's not putting down a gun, they're still a threat. And if you're telling them to put it down and they have 13 seconds of God knows what happened, it's entirely possible that maybe that shooting was justified. But not according to Matthew J. Platkin, Attorney General in New Jersey. After hearing testimony evidence from the investigation, the grand jury concluded its deliberations on Monday and voted true bill determining that a criminal charge against the officer was warranted. Again, you can indict anyone for anything. Doesn't mean anything. But the problem is the public who got a D or C in a civics class doesn't fucking understand what an indictment is. It sounds bad. The word indictment sounds bad. All indictment means is there's enough evidence to proceed to trial. The trial is where it's going to determine whether or not this guy did anything wrong. And there's exculpatory evidence in there. And you say, well, if he didn't do anything wrong, we trust the jury, we trust the trial. It's the best the system has, is the best we could do in Western jurisprudence. Unless you have another suggestion, John, for how we determine the truth other than a trial. If I was this guy, I would demand a trial. I would demand it. And I would demand it be public too, because this is an absolute drumhead trial where they are trying to sacrifice him to make themselves look like they go after bad cops, that they're a good attorney general's office in the inflammatory age of 2021, and they will sacrifice him just like Dana Nessel attempted to sacrifice Matthew Mistretta. And that fucking asshole down in Alabama attempted to sacrifice Ben Darby. Add this name to the list. According to the investigation on September 14th at approximately 1:38 a.m., 2 uniformed officers in Mantua Township Police Department arrived at the residence located on Elm Avenue in Mantua in response to a 911 call from the homeowner, Charles Sharp. During the 911 call, Mr. Sharp reported 2 burglars in the rear yard, one of whom was armed with a handgun. This information was relayed to the responding officers by the 911 dispatcher prior to the arrival of Mr. Sharp at his home. Mr. Sharp remained on the line with the 911 dispatcher and was standing in the front yard of his residence when the officers arrived. Here's my editorial. Like a dumbass. Why are you outside? Right? If you're in danger, if you think that guy's got a gun and you got a gun, what, you're going to have a gunfight? Go inside. So far, your life's not threatened. Yeah, he's in your shed. He's going to steal your lawnmower. He's stealing some copper to go get some drugs. Why are you putting your life on the line for that? Why are you going outside so you can get shot? Why are you going? Here's the damned interesting part, right? Let's play lawyer. Suppose this guy, Charles Sharp, goes outside with a gun and he sees a guy burglarizing his residence, his outbuilding. He sees a guy in a shed. Suppose he goes out there and suppose he shoots the burglar. Well, I sure hope that Charles Sharp would be indicted for manslaughter for shooting a guy he didn't need to shoot. This isn't castle doctrine. He wasn't protecting his life. He was protecting non-essential property. It'd be one thing if this guy's busting down the front door, fire away, blast away, Second Amendment time, go for it. This guy rooting around in your shed, I don't think is a justifiable reason to shoot somebody. If somebody's outside of my shed right now, you know what I'm going to do? Call 911. I might arm myself in case the guy is intending on coming inside, but I'm not going to go outside and engage him, particularly if I think he's armed. You're an idiot if you do that. Just because you have the right to have a gun, which I would never say, I would never take away from anyone, doesn't mean you have the right to be an idiot about it. In fact, I would prefer that only smart people be armed. But this guy, Charles Sharp, not very smart, because he calls 911, invites the cops to the party. So now we have more guns. He's an idiot with a gun, doesn't go inside. Does he not realize that he's an enemy combatant? You have 2 forces converging here, 2 belligerents. You have burglars and cops. But now we have like non-belligerents, which is him. But he has the gun, so what? He's going to shoot the burglar too? Again, I said this during the episode, but cops are not going to team up with you and you're going to clear the residence. Whoever they find there, they're going to consider the suspect, particularly when they were told the suspects were outside. And if they see you with a gun and they see you in the yard, why wouldn't they think you're the suspect? Completely reasonable. But it doesn't just come down to that, because the cop didn't just jump out the door and say, hey, you're a burglar, and blow him away. That's not what happened. You heard it. 13 seconds to live or die, Charles Sharp, and I'm sorry you're dead very much, because I wish this officer were not in trouble. I don't find this convenient or wonderful or even a moment to learn by, although I'm forcing to use it for that occasion. Oldrati arrived at the scene shortly after Corporal Robert Layton arrived in a separate police vehicle. While Oldrati was exiting his police vehicle, Corporal Layton yelled, he's got a handgun on him right there. Oldrati fired his service weapons multiple times and struck Mr. Sharp multiple times. Layton did not discharge his service weapon. So someone else said he's got a weapon. Okay. So we heard that as well. Officers and emergency medical personnel rendered aid to Mr. Sharp, who was later pronounced dead at the hospital. Replica 45 was recovered from Mr. Sharp. So that's the thing I wanted to drop on you. That's the big moment. That's the thing that Drew alluded to. The thing that we've been talking about in this show humorously for weeks. Sharp was carrying a fake gun. If there was not anything to tell you that this guy is an idiot going outside throwing fireworks at those guys. They have a gun, and he's going out there with fireworks. He called the police with real guns, and he showed up with a fake gun. I've played that scene from Community multiple times. It's Intro to Conspiracy or whatever, where the characters are all having this little fun game where they're pretending to shoot each other with fake guns. And then a real cop shows up, blows everyone away, and he goes, fact, and in 100% of fake gun-related shootings, the victim is always the one with the fake gun. That's a joke on a TV show, and that's exactly how Mr. Charles Sharp died. He died in a joke because he's walking around with a fake gun. You want to get yourself killed? A fake gun punches your ticket, because we talked about him going outside earlier and engaging these burglars, and who has the law of the fastest gun. Charles Sharp didn't even have a gun. He just was carrying around an excuse for someone else to shoot him. That's the joke. That's the saddest part, is this idiot was walking around outside with a fake gun. But let's compound it even further, if I may, go full Alex Jones. He's on 911 telling the 911 dispatcher that he's armed. He's saying, hey, I got this 45 from my grandfather. 45 what? 45 prop gun? What the fuck? This is the stupidest case. And I just came across it through browsing. I didn't even do a deep dive, Google, show me the most irritating or ridiculous case ever. Charles Sharp was carrying a fake gun. He punched his own ticket to the death party. He signed his own death warrant when he decided to call the cops. When he confronted those guys the first time, when he went outside and threw fireworks at them, he's behaving in a reckless and stupid manner. I want to know what his blood tox is. Give me a break. His blood alcohol content, because it's so stupid. The 911 recordings of Oldrati's body-worn camera were released and posted online. Click here for the recordings. Let me see what we got. I wonder if it has a link to 911 call, redacted, Sharp body-worn cam, redacted. Almost what we're gonna see here, if this is a different video, because maybe it's been posted on here now. Yeah, I'm looking at a different video here. Maybe. Yep, this is a different video. Very interesting. Maybe we'll have to show this next week, because this is straight from the Attorney General's website. If I had better podcaster, I would have found this. I'm taking a look at it now. Yeah, very interesting stuff. Again, the fake gun, very infuriating. Where was I at? Because I was reading something, wasn't I? If convicted, Oldrati could face up to 10 years in New Jersey State Prison pursuant to the No Early Release Act. Oh, nice. I'm glad that there's no early release for him, but there were for the guy who was out of North Carolina who killed 4 police officers. I know that's not New Jersey's fault, but Oldrati would have to serve 85% of the overall sentence, during which he would be ineligible for parole. Charges are merely accusations. The defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. A conflicts check was conducted pursuant to the independent prosecutor directive, and no actual or potential conflict of interest was found involving any individual assigned to the investigation prior to presentation by the grand jury. Investigation was reviewed by such and such and such, saying all these independent people reviewed it. What a load. I mean, it's not a perfect case no matter what, no matter how you look at it, but again, I've mentioned this before on the show too, before I wind down, because I do need to go to sleep at some point tonight, but police get invited to this shit. Charles Sharp was behaving stupidly. As for the burglars, it doesn't even say, do we? I know you asked me about that. I'm guessing the burglars as soon as the burglars saw the lights from the police cars, they probably cheesed it out of there. They were probably long gone. Irritating. That's reasonable. He was charged. Yeah, the indictment might be reasonable, but I don't think it should stick. That's a shame he was charged. Too bad his clairvoyance didn't check in. I'm not sure what that means, Marine's blood. The DA is all-knowing and the smartest person alive. We should never question him. I'm guessing it'll be okay. I don't like it one bit, but I hope this case breakdown is used in court for the defense. They don't need me, David. Missed the show tonight. We'll have to catch it on Apple Podcasts. Nah, man, get one of those instant hot water heaters if you live alone. They cheap. I never even knew there was an instant one. Cheaper. Shit, sorry, way behind. I already got the hot water heater, so too much. Someone should send this episode to the officer in case they didn't notice. They could hear it on the call, and they're keeping the video from him. They can't keep it from him, Marine's Blood, because of Brady v. Maryland. They're going to have a discovery phase in the trial where everything's going to be made available to both sides. And then they'll try to suppress something, probably. Tanner sends me almost $7 Canadian. I'm guessing that's $5 American, if I had to guess. Oh, look, this thing works. Keep fighting for the good fight, brother. Talk later, buddy. Up north, it's way the use of force reasonable. If somebody gave him an order to drop the gun, he didn't drop the gun. I don't know. You might be able to make a case saying like the guy shouldn't be a police officer anymore. I'm not even here to discuss that, like the administrative stuff. In real money, it's like one piece of bubble gum, I think. Thank you. Holy shit, replica, right, Salt Spreader? That's suicidal. Yeah. Why? It's infuriating when someone calls about a disturbance and they continue to engage and escalate the situation. You're right, Amanda. How many times have we taken calls from people and they're like, oh, I'm going to follow them? As a 911 dispatcher, your response isn't what you think it'd be, right? Because you kind of want engaged citizenry. You don't want people just calling and thinking they're heroes for just dialing 911, but leave it to the professionals, man. I mean, there's so much danger that you're incurring. I mean, Amanda, have you ever had it before where someone calls 911 and says, I'm behind a drunk driver. I'm following him till your officer gets here. And then you take another 911 call and then they're like, somebody's chasing me. They're going to kill me. And it's the person dialing 911 that's following him. Now the person who's driving drunk isn't drunk. He was probably on his phone. And now he thinks the person behind him is chasing him down to kill him. So now you have two exigent circumstances, each created by the other. You have two dumbasses, one driving stupid with a phone, which I'm as guilty of as anyone, and the other person's in a pursuit with him. I had someone the other day tell me that they were going to do a citizen's arrest for a traffic violation. Infuriating. What was it, 10:52? Irritating. Thank you guys for listening to that rant. I'm sorry that I went off on it. I don't know what happened to the burglars. No mention of them. I think ultimately they, like I said, they saw the lights and they were out of there. Very terrible. Any more phone calls? Will, you want to call in? You called me earlier. This would be your chance. This is your chance, Will. I'll take your call. Another fake gun shooting, just like Tamir Rice. Just like that kid in Akron. Honestly, where do all these fake guns come from? Why are people going out there and getting fake guns? Don't get it. Thankfully, being a one-man comm center, I can put two and two together and tell each other to stop. Yes, you shouldn't be a one-man comm center, but I get why you are. Will.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
William?
Hello?
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 Do you get your two hens in your hand?
Yes, I did.
I said,
and I went bang, bang, bang with them.
I sent a reel to Will earlier. There's this guy that walks around carrying chickens. And he looks just like Will.
Yes. And another podcast host that you also share a show with sent me the exact same video and said, hey, that's you.
Oh, yeah, Kendra.
Yes.
Kendra's the balls, isn't she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was really funny. Both of you sending it to me like a day apart.
Well, stuff gets around.
Yeah. I actually saw some chickens today and they were out of their cage. at
Well-
my job.
Will, tell me you're calling in for more about just seeing chickens today.
Yeah. Well, it was about this case. This whole thing is just so screwed up.
What would you have done?
If he did have a fake gun and the officer did see it, yeah, I'd probably do the exact. And if he raised it, yeah, I would.
I don't
Probably
think he has to raise it though. I mean, Will, we're talking about, life and death in a fraction of a second. If you tell someone to drop it and they're not dropping it from there on out, I mean, they're not complying. It takes a fraction, Will, for somebody to point something at you and for your life to end. And I don't think a police officer, particularly one who's already issued a warning, you heard it on the 911. I don't think they should have to wait, Will.
Well, if I remember my stuff correctly, they need to see furtive movements. I'm saying that word correct. Right?
Furtive movements maybe, Will, but you already have non-compliance. They're already resisting by just not complying. And let me ask you, Will, what does someone have to do for it to be justifiable for them to shoot you? How many rounds do you have to take for it to be okay for you to defend yourself?
I mean, that's valid. My
point is, I don't want Will Cray to die because he thinks the fight should be fair. You were called as a police officer to a call with a man with a gun. I'm not going to bury you just so that the criminal's rights are respected. I mean, there's an old saying. Well, I'm sure you've heard it, but I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6, and that's what this officer's in. And unfortunately, it looks bad because the guy he shot had no intent to kill him. We presume because it was the 911. It was the 911 caller. Yeah. For all we know, by the way, Charles Sharp might have had intent to kill him. I'm not putting that out there as an assertion of fact because I don't know. I'm just saying we don't fucking know what the hell that was at all. Right? He didn't drop the gun. Mm-hmm. What was the reason for that? And so what's happening is this officer's having to be judged by 12, and it looks bad for him. And here's the kicker, Will. Here's the thing. Here's the crux of it. If it looks bad,
on me.
If it looks bad, it's bad for the police. And if it's bad for the police, the assertion is, the innate understanding is that it could have been prevented. And it's not always the case. Well, sometimes things cannot be prevented. Sometimes bad things happen. And sometimes, good situations go bad real quick. And there was a lot wrong with this situation. This guy carrying a fake gun was wrong. You should not have been doing that. That's a stupid thing to do.
Don't do that.
Don't walk around outside when you've called the police. Don't engage burglars with a fake gun. They're going to shoot you. Why wouldn't they shoot you? They think that you're armed.
Exactly.
You've basically leveled the playing field in his mind. But it's not level because you can't actually kill that guy before he kills you. You might as well just paint a big target on yourself.
That's why if you're ever going to have a fake gun, just don't. Have a real gun.
You may as well because you're presenting yourself as someone that can only be stopped with lethal force. So they're going to rise up to meet you, but you can't do that. So even if we're going to talk about a gunfight being fair, as if that was a reasonable way to deal with anything, that's not even what you're doing. So it just makes no sense from any point of view.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But you're allowed to disagree with me, and I appreciate you calling me in.
Yeah, it's fun calling in. I actually don't have any gripes this week, so
that's good.
I had a great week.
You enjoying the weather?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. There's been a lot of rain, though. I was down south of Rochester, so it's way southern Minnesota. Actually, like thunderstorm and hail for all 30 minutes, and then it was sunny right after.
Yeah,
and it was sunny the rest of the day.
We've had similar weather in our area, and it's very, very wet outside right now. And like I said when I was recording this episode, my sump pump kicked on, and I was really worried that everyone could hear it because my sump pump is literally right behind this. So, like where I've got my stuff here on the wall behind me, it's 3 feet away. So,
I mean, you could boil the water from that too and use that for your water heater.
Again, I have a fresh source of water from the city. It's the water part's not the hard part. It's making it hot. So I just need to live with a cold fresh water.
Or you could always also take your old water heater and just light a fire under it, like a campfire, and just call it good.
I could honestly, especially if I should just turn off the electricity too, and then just have fires inside the house. Like you'll find this with a lot of like drug houses and stuff that they just have open fires inside the house, and it's no big deal.
Well, yeah, or you just burn the house down. You know what I mean?
Will, you're the worst at advice. Just burn your house down.
No. Yeah. Hey, it's a suggestion. You don't have to do it.
You're right. Well, I appreciate you calling in.
All right. See you, John.
Call next week.
I will.
Be safe, be smart, be strong,
Bye.
make good decisions. I hope you find love.
I hope so too.
I hope you find it within the next week.
Okay.
All right.
Smell you later.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Yes, yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Chase, anybody else want to call in? This is your chance. Otherwise, I'm probably going to call it good. I've been going almost 2 hours. Holy moly. How long was that Jag I was on? Yeah, I didn't find any bonus stuff to show you the guys this week. Let me see if I got anything in the old hard drive. I don't think that I do. This is kind of my computer where most of the stuff. Oh, look, we got one calling in.
Call from. To accept, press
Say your
1.
name.
To send a voicemail.
Hello?
Hey, is this a call-in show?
Yes. Why don't you say your name when it asks you when it prompts you for your name?
Oh, I got distracted. It's all
Oh.
something shiny.
No. What's going on today, bud?
Oh, nothing much. I think today's show was actually an amazing breakdown. I think it showed a lot of good points. It brought to light a lot of information I don't think a lot of people saw early on when it broke in the news.
I don't remember it ever breaking the news, but I guess I'm not a good one for that because I tend to just actively avoid the news, particularly in 2021. I was not paying attention. So,
yeah, but I mean, I completely agree. You know, he had 13 seconds. I don't know what the prosecution was looking at, saying it was less than that. It's just, you know, he didn't comply with the orders. He was already stupid by throwing fireworks at people. You know, it's just like, at what point are you just going to continue making mistakes on your own?
yeah. I wonder if that other officer that was there, they said somebody there, another corporal that was there in an unmarked vehicle. I wonder if that was another dimension of confusion. I wonder if the guy in the unmarked vehicle got out and was giving orders to Charles Sharp, and Sharp didn't obey the commands of the unmarked guy. Like, this is the only thing that I can think of that would make it make sense. Like, if we presume that Charles Sharp was acting in good faith, really wanted to just protect his property, had no problems with police. Here's the problem, though, right? So the police officer shows up, and he's in an unmarked car, which, you know, is maybe a problem for identification purposes. Maybe, I don't know, but he still tells Sharp to drop the gun because we heard that 13 seconds go by. So then this corporal, who, by the way, is a lead officer, he's a corporal. So if this officer's an officer, the corporal is his field supervisor, and he's saying he's got a gun on him and he didn't drop the gun. He's saying he has one. And we know that he didn't drop it. I still don't. I get where an added layer of confusion might come in with like a plainclothes police officer or an unmarked unit. Like, I get that as a layer of complexity for Charles Sharp that maybe he couldn't wrap his brain around in those 13 seconds. But he knew the police were coming, right? And then he still saw this officer roll up on scene with his lights on. You know, I still don't get it. I get.
I mean, even with the plainclothes officer,
here's the thing.
That plainclothes officer.
Here's the thing, though, is that so the prosecutors, the attorney general's office, can't take just any case before a grand jury. They can't just take any case before the court of public opinion. They have to take something that's murky enough where they can try to make a point with it, right? Like Darby, you know, case in point, you had police officers there who were already in a deadly situation. It was an unusual case with Darby, right? So Darby shows up, he sees police officers ignoring good tactics, police officers' lives in danger. And he had that moment where he had to decide to shoot him. So the thing with Darby was weird. Mistretta, also weird, right? So Mistretta performs a traffic stop. He's got 2 guys in the car. He had every reason to believe that the guy he was holding down or arresting had just murdered a guy. And in fact, he thought that the guy had used a gun to kill the suspect, but he had rolled him down. He had run him down with his car. So in both of those situations, you have a layer of complexity and a layer of confusion. And you have vindictive prosecutors who want to take a situation that's cloudy enough that they think they can convince a jury with. So I think that this situation might have just enough confusion in it. I think that's all that it takes. I think is for this prosecutor is muddy water. But what's the reason for it, right? You could say that it's because the attorney general is an elected official and he has a duty to the people to uphold the law and to hold even law enforcement officers accountable, and he's giving it to a jury to make the decision to indict, and he's giving it to a petit jury to give this officer a trial and to let the system play out, to let the people decide. If you are naive, you say that. And if in 2021 you are a realist, you realize that he's like Dana Nessel in Michigan. He's like this the guy that went after Ben Darby, and he's saying, hey, maybe I can use this occasion to go after police officers in a year in which police brutality must be showcased. We have to make an example out of guys like Ben Darby and Matthew Mistretta. We have to make an example out of this Mantua Township police officer. I honestly believe that's what it is, because even if the shoot's not perfect, right? Maybe it's grounds for this guy to lose his job. Maybe he could be sued, but I don't think that there's grounds necessarily for a manslaughter charge here. So I just think that the prosecutor is at least using the muddiness of the situation. And I think he's hoping that a jury in New Jersey, very liberal state, will see this. And regardless of the reasonableness of the situation or the stupidity of Charles Sharp, that they will indict and convict a police officer in spite of all rule of law, in spite of all evidence, in spite of Graham v. Connor, and ruin this police officer's life. And I'll tell you something else too. Let's add a layer of cynicism to it, because I like doing this. Ultimately, if the attorney general does go through with this case, get the indictment, does the trial, gets a guy convicted, that's a conviction on his record that will help him get reelected. I wonder when he's up for election, right? He could say, hey, I got this. You can vote for me because I'll hold everyone accountable. I held this police officer accountable. And then he doesn't care later if the whole case falls apart on appeals because it was a garbage case to begin with. He already got reelected. He doesn't care if that case falls apart later. What does it matter? No one, that's the thing, David, is that no one's going to notice in the news when this whole case gets reversed on appeal and this officer who has now lost 3, 4, 5 years of his life, somebody like Ben Darby. You think Ben Darby's in the news down there in Alabama? Not the way he was like when he was getting charged and arrested and being sent to prison for life for murder. No one's going to care about the retraction, David. This attorney general is going to be able to make all the political book he needs out of it. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. He can just sacrifice this guy, blow up his life, fuck him over forever, get reelected, and then who cares what comes after that? Because there's no corrections page, there's no redactions page, David.
No, very true. And I see it all the time in my area and stuff, where I train up people. I'm like, hey, here's your deadly force triangle, opportunity, capability, intent. If an investigation happens, can you explain those 3 things and why you had a justified shooting? And a lot of people, they can't explain, and they end up getting in trouble later because it's like, he wasn't justified. He can't explain why he shot somebody.
Well, I appreciate that input, David. I honestly, I don't know how it's going to shake out. Unfortunately, these guys that get exonerated later, guys like Ben Darby, Darby still had to take a plea agreement, to get out of that situation. Yeah. It's not in prison. So you throw these guys in prison for a couple of years, that really softens them up for a plea. So the conviction still stands. Ben Darby's still convicted of the shooting, but the situation under which, he's serving out his 3 years of probation or whatever for it, the fact that he gets to be reunited with his wife and he gets to not die in prison, that was enough for him. And I think that this guy in New Jersey might be going for enough, because if he gets that, that's still a win for him. Do you see how it's really, really stacked against the police officer? not only in the court of law, but in the court of public opinion.
Well, it's not just that either. It goes to the police department as well, because now the department's like, well, we need recruitment. Recruitment's down. Because no one is fighting for the officers, when there's a justified shooting, there's no action and things like that. Like San Diego PD right now is hurting for recruitment because there's no backup from the city and stuff to help them support them. People are just leaving.
Before Darby, there was a case in San Diego too that they broke down once. I can't remember the guy's name, but basically he had to shoot a guy. I'm not sure if it was at a bus station or something. I would have to look it up, but I mean that was kind of
it was at a trolley station. It was a trolley station.
Do you remember the name of the officer?
Metro. It was a Metro, yeah. And the officer approached him to the guy saying, like, hey, you're on private property. If you don't have a ticket to get onto said, public transportation, you need to leave. And there was an interaction, and it was a justified shooting, even though he was accused of all sorts of things from the public eye, from the public defendant.
Yeah, I'm reading. I pulled up an article, and now I'm trying to see if it says the name of the officer, because I know if I hear the officer's name, I will be completely jogged back to memory on it.
It should be, because his wife was on a few of the shows.
Yeah. This says SDPD Officer Rupert Burton, but I don't think that's the guy I remember, to be honest with you. So there could be that there's more than one case. Are you sure it was La Mesa PD?
It was La Mesa PD.
Okay, so I'll look that up.
Yeah. I mean, most of the La Mesa's
it's right next
door. It is what it is. Yeah. I mean, everything's pretty much within the area.
I used to have a friend that lived in La Mesa. I know that you don't care about that, but
I used to live in La Mesa.
Did you?
Yeah. I lived in La Mesa for a few years, and then I moved to Santee, and then I moved up north.
Aren't they all kind of the same thing?
Yeah.
They're all kind of in the same metro area.
It is all the same metro area with everything being built. It's pretty much almost, there's no distinction between cities anymore.
Yeah. I see another one here. All this stuff is like 2003, 2004. But I know this one was before that. I think this one was in 2001 also. I'll have to look it up. But I remember that happened in San Diego or La Mesa or somewhere out there. But you make a great point about recruitment going down and no one wanting to be a police officer. No one wants to be a firefighter anymore either, by the way. All these politicians who are driving down recruitment, driving police officers out of the business. What's the end game? They don't care. They don't care that they're flushing Western civilization down the toilet. They don't care that because they want to get reelected. But then what? What happened? We don't have a police department anymore. That happened down in Austin, where they laid off, a third of the police department, and then they had to refund the police department because the city got overrun with criminals and the city was not able to handle these things. How come they can't see that as a logical conclusion that if we eliminate police, crime will rise? I mean, it's just obvious, and yet they don't care because it's what their constituents want. They're just going to go out there and say, yeah, we're going to defund the police. I mean, for God's sakes, the Minneapolis Police Department, we're going to change the policing as we know, and we're going to completely defund them. What was the plan? You sit here and have this plan that we can eliminate a budget. It's as simple as drawing a line on a piece of paper to say there's no more funding for a police department anymore. All of your you basically have all but downsized out of existence. Then what? It's so short-sighted and so intellectually just, I can't even come up with a word other than stupid. But what's the plan, David? And there's no answer to that because there is no plan.
The military is finding that out quickly as well, because the Air Force downsized because they were told to downsize, Army downsized because they were told to downsize, and now all of a sudden they can't recruit anybody, and they're trying to figure it out. And it's a vicious cycle, unfortunately, and it's going to take, it's going to take something to motivate people to get back into doing public services.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that one sailor who cross-dresses, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If Navy's official ambassador, I don't know if you remember that thing.
Yeah.
Between that and the captain of the John S. McCain or whatever it is, like you guys are having a hard time over there in the Navy, and things were never great for you to begin with. I don't think.
Well, the Air Force is having a hard time because they had one of their airmen shot by Florida PD.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw Ben Crump's making a big deal out of that. I haven't looked into that case yet. I know Crump's saying that it was another case of wrong apartment.
I'm waiting on
looked into
that. I mean, they can say it's wrong apartment all day. They're saying that there was a FaceTime call with someone saying that the guy yelled, "Who's at the door?" Didn't get a response. Looked out to people, didn't see anybody. Like, there's something more to that story. There's something more to the whole incident because there's no way Florida or any cop is going to show up to a door and not announce who they are, especially if it was a domestic violence call that they were responding to.
Yeah, I don't know enough to comment on it yet, but I'm guessing if Ben Crump's involved, then it can't be good.
I mean, he's going to get involved in anything that he can.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, good talking to you. I appreciate you calling in and having lots to say on the show, although I'll talk to you about anything because you're an interesting guy. And sorry if you feel like I've been ignoring you. Thank you for the super chat money. I appreciate it. I'm gonna take Dewey out for a milkshake. So that's on you, and I appreciate it.
Just a milkshake, huh? Okay.
Well, we have to
So,
spend $20
say
three
milkshake,
ways in a Biden economy. So
I mean, you got to buy fries too.
me, Drew, and Dewey are going to Chick-fil-A is what we'll do.
Oh, okay. All right. That's not a bad choice.
All right, man. Well, I will talk to you next week if you call in.
All right. If my privileges are still available, I mean, yeah, phone privileges can be taken away.
Why would they be taken away? Are you in trouble with the Navy?
John, I don't know, John. Why did you take my phone privileges away?
I didn't take your phone privileges away. I didn't do anything to you. All right, man. Well, I will catch up with you next week.
All right. Love you a long time, John.
All right. Love you too. 10-7.
Bye.
Bye. David's a little mean. Not mean. He's not mean at all. He's a little mad because he sent me a picture of somebody with a 10-7 license plate. I don't think I was very responsive to that. Here's the thing. People send me stuff while I'm driving. A lot of the time, my commute is literally per week. It's 10 hours per week. You send something to me while I'm driving, you may not get a solid response. I'm sorry about that. And then I just don't remember to follow up later. All right, guys. We're still at 10 going strong, but I am sleepy. It has been 2 hours. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for the Comm Center, watching the Comm Center. Thanks for being here. Call out some people in our chats for showing up. First of all, thanks to Phil and Melanie for the super chat. Thanks for Tanner for giving us some Canadian dollars. David, Micah, April, who said she would not like it till Jonathan delivers. I wonder if she ever clicked like. She never said. Chase, still here. Amanda Gatewood, stay strong. Don't let those traffic stops drive you insane. My sister was here briefly. I think she talked to me a little bit. Drew is here. Salt spreader, absolute OG commando. Thank you so much. Michael Hendricks. Awesome. Marines blood. We'll catch you next time. Don't worry too much about the monetization. David, $2 and then $20. Free John. What a nice callback. That was a callback to a long time ago when they were still able to minimize me. Do we still have that ability now? There we go. That's for you, David. Free John. We could do super chats. Thank you, Salamander, for watching. Hope you came back. Hope you enjoyed the show. Mountain Films was here. Thank you. Who else? Madge was here. Madge called in. That was always funny to talk to Madge. Will Cray called in. Thank you, Will, for calling in. Anybody else I missed? David again. $20. Feels nice to have that happen. And Michael Hendricks gave $10 and said I needed a raise. Sorry about the cat, by the way. Sorry about my cat for dropping in. He's as incorrigible as I am. Nick was here. Drew, the 40s and 50s had to be an interesting time. Thousands of tons of waste were dumped in that neighborhood. I feel like I missed out on something cool there. Thanks for watching the show, Nick. If you're still here. Micah was here. April, go get some sleep. I'll do the same thing. Mountain. All right, I think I got most of you guys. I just don't want to not acknowledge some of you. All right, guys. You good night, all of you. Night, John. Very entertaining? Question mark. You're welcome? Question mark. Thanks for all you guys do. Yes, we will catch you back here next week for more stuff on Monday. I'll try to be here Monday. So try to remember Monday morning, maybe a show if you guys are interested in that. Elijah K was here. Where were you all night, Elijah? I didn't even see you even one time. Got to call in sometime, Elijah. All right. Well, I suppose we will call it good. Appreciate all you guys. Like I said, thanks for watching the Comm Center. Love you all so much.